Hey, you guys. I see that I am the only one right now, but I'm going to go live anyway because this is the first time that I did a live ever. So kudos to me starting my first live. Normally, in the past I would do lives as well, but I would go on Facebook. But this is my first live on YouTube. So I'm just going to start with the thing that I wanted to discuss today, and that is having a commitment to your art with your art or anything that you have in your own creative field. And the thing that I want to discuss right now is what are the issues that you can come across, what can be the solutions, and how is it something that is actually just part of what you're doing, part of the process. So the thing that I'm in right now is, of course, that I am bubbling with a lot of ideas. I do not have a problem having a lot of ideas to create, to work out on canvas, to write down on paper. That is not the issue for me. But to really sit myself down and have an agenda, like a schedule where I just really commit myself to the work that I need to do that is at hand, that is something that is quite hard right now. I know that a lot of people right now in this situation are seeking creativity, or actually, the situation can be a reason for you to be more creative and have more time and space to do the things that you want to do. So it kind of depends on how you look at it, of course. I think in the beginning for myself of 2021, even before that, I was really struggling getting my creativity up and keeping it up, and really digging myself out of this hole where I was questioning myself, well, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I'm going to do? Now that things are being constricted and there are rules and regulations now put in place. So what is it that how do I move forward? I had so many plans for myself to do things and to, partake in this, um, in professionalizing myself and creating this space where I now really can go for the thing that I wanted to go for. And then um, the question still remains, how do you commit yourself to the art that you're doing? How do you commit yourself to what it is that you want to build up for yourself as an artist? Now, for those that are just hobbyists and are doing things just for the fun of it, this might still be a great video for you to listen to, especially if you still want to have that avenue of professionalizing your work. I did not start from a place where I wanted to be a hobbyist. I did not start from a place where I just wanted to create a couple of things, do a couple of things, and just see where it will end. I did start from a place where I wanted to actually take control over what it is that I have, my talent, my art, and the things that I want to tell on canvas or on paper. So having, first of all, a purpose and mission really helps to understand what your commitment will look like. So, like I already said, for me, my commitment looked like having my art, knowing that I'm an artistic person, knowing that I'm a creative person, admitted that first, and then trying to figure out, well, what is it that interests me as a artist, and what is a professional artist actually? What does that mean? How does that look like to me? So for me, I had a clear question, a clear direction of, you know what, I do want to be committed to it. This is not something that I just want to do on a lazy Sunday and just, have fun with it and I'll see where it is. No, this is something that I really want to stick into, bite my teeth into. So if you're in that place for yourself, like, I don't know how to commit to this art thing that I have, I really want to develop that. The first question that you can have for yourself is, how does it look like to you? How do you envision yourself being an artist? Is it something that you just do for your hobby? Is it something that you do and you're still at school? Or is it something that you really want to, professionalize yourself into? Because there are different avenues for you available as an artist, and also just producing creative work. and sharing creative work. That's something that I also had to learn, which is the second thing that I come to, and that is being specific about how it looks. So having a mission and then executing that. So that can mean starting an art group. It can mean that you want to, be in relationship with other people where you can share work, where you can talk about your work, where you can learn more about the thing that it is that you want to do. For me, I've never, ever, ever took a class of art. Like, I had it at high school, but for me, that is like something that everyone generally gets. And everyone gets introduced to art generally at high school, right? But really taking that step that after high school, you want to join a specific education, a specific course, that for me is like a start, what I consider to be a start in the direction of being a professional artist. But I never had that. I never had that. I never went to college for being an artist. I never went to university for being an artist. I just had my talent. I just had the skill. I just had a urge. So where do I find the information that says I can be a professional artist? Where do I find the information that says this is what you can do to start your professional career? For me, I was still very stuck on, well, I could go to school next to working and being a mother and having all the other responsibilities and duties that I have in life, or I could change my direction. And that is something that I chose. I did not choose the route of going to a college and learning more about art. Now, meeting other people that are artists and hearing their stories and understanding whether that would have been something against or for me, I have to say it might, there's a high possibility that it actually worked for me, not going to high school or to college or to university to learn about art, and specifically the art that interests me, which sounds strange because you would think, well, there's a lot of information that you can get over there. There's a lot of information that you can get at a high school, and on an academic level. On the academic level, you can get the structure and you learn about other artists and art forms that really can mold you into the artist, and therefore also commit yourself to the purpose of being a professional artist. But I got to be honest with you, and this is specifically pertaining to me. I don't think that was really something that I missed. I don't think that is something um, that I honestly I'm looking back at and be like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I should have. No, not really. And this is why, because um, I've looked at a lot of other artists that I started to follow on social media, mainly on social media, and then started to dig into their stories, started to dig um, into their art practice. And what I have come to learn is that everyone eventually takes their own life, their own vision, their own perspective on subjects and objects and certain themes and issues, and uses that for their art practice. So for me, it was more like, oh, okay, well, eventually it's life. It's life teaching you about art. It's life teaching you the things that you are most drawn to and want to put on, canvas, or be creative with that. For me, it's canvas. It can also be paper. For you, that might be a sculpture. For you, that might be a digital painting. It can be anything that you find yourself being creative in. But you can also take it very general. You can take it as general as you want to. So for me, that was really interesting to see that, oh, wait a minute. These people are just looking at life and they are asking questions. And then they are looking at themselves like, okay, how can I use my talent, my skill, and put that in a way that can move people, that I can talk to people, that I can express the thing that I see in the world. So for me, no, I've never, I don't have any regrets of taking that path of not having that academic education. Could it have helped me? Of course. I don't see it as being worthless information. I definitely do not want to discourage anyone that is at a certain decision making process of, do I go to, an academic institution to get more knowledge about art? And I am also not saying that I would never do it further down the road. But right now, where I am, I think with having and just submerging myself into the art world, just throwing myself into that particular world, I definitely believe that I've built my sensors, if that makes sense. I have sensors, artistic sensors, to understand, well, if I want to go into a certain direction, I have to look over here. I can talk to this person. I can go to this platform. I can, delve into this type of information. What has helped me in that as well is the fact that I do have an academic background. So from a theoretically point of view, from a academic point of view, from a structural and organizational point of view, I already have that in me. It has been, just knocked in me. It has been forced in me. So it is natural for me to want to have structure, organization, and to want to look for answers for questions that I have and really have a certain plan about it. But if you do not have that particular background, academic background, or you do not have those skills really developed, I do believe that we all have those skills, but not everybody has them developed or, really at place. Well, how do you go about it? That can be really an issue, and really an issue when it comes to committing to your art, when you're wanting to have, a really solid art practice, an art base for yourself. I have to say that is just one part of the story, right? Having an academic background, it can help you. If you have specifically an academic background in arts, it definitely can help you, but it's not the end and be all. Definitely not in the days that we're living right now. It's not the end and be all for what it is that you want to achieve. A third thing, when it comes to commitments, is building stamina. You have to build stamina for whatever it is that you want to be committed to, because things are not going the way that you would likely want them to go. For certain people, they have the luck that they have the right network, they have the right tools, they have the right platforms, and they just, man, they just jump in it just the right way. There are no obstacles, there are no hesitations. It's just perfect. But in most cases, that is, an exception. It's not really the truth. It's not really something that might be happening for them just normally and for everyone, because definitely not my case. And I think the further you are removed from what it is that you want, the more you do have to do to get closer to that goal that it is that you really want. So when I talk about stamina, I'm talking about building up those muscles, those sensors that you possess, and create literally just fixing your body and your mentality and your mind so that you can deal with whatever that is coming on your path, because it's not going to be easy. When it comes to being an artist, the first thing that you will be subjected to is other people's opinions and other people's perspective of what you do. So you have to build a certain stamina. You have to build a certain, I wouldn't say tough skin, because I will come to that later why tough skin is not something that you really want to go for. But you have to build a certain distance from your work. You're the artist and there's your work. And these two things are working with each other, but they are not the same. You have to be able to separate the both from, the two things from each other. Anyway, building that stamina, you have to be strong. You have to be really up for the work. It is also in your best interest to be up for your work. It is very much to be in your best interest to be up for the work. You will have the ability to um, see things that people normally do not see, or see things that people are maybe not equipped for. If I look at myself, or when I look at myself, I definitely build a lot of skill sets when it comes to social media, using social media, and I'm still learning. I've built a lot of skill set when it comes to organizing my own exhibition. I've done it twice. I've done it twice. And when everything starts opening up, I will do it again. Um, I've built up, slowly started to build up a network where I start to meet people within the art world, and they giving me advice, and I'm learning from those people from a distance, directly, having conversations. I'm more bold than I used to be. I'm more curious than I used to be. I never say to myself, oh, I already know that. I don't need to know that. No, teach me again. Maybe I haven't picked up something that I didn't see back then. So I am still curious and open in that process. And that has helped me a lot to create that stamina, those muscles, those sensors that you really need to be committed into the thing that you are doing in art. Fourth thing, when it comes to art, you're not always going to like it. I'm just going to be straight up real with you. You're not always going to love the relationship that you have with your artistry, with your art practice. You're not always going to be feeling for it. You're not always going to be It's not always going to be butterflies, and a rosy peachy outlook on the things that you're doing. Absolutely not. Like I already said, beginning of 2020, it was looking pretty dark for me, and I was really stuck. Not stuck in the work that I could create, but stuck in, well, what am I going to do if I cannot go anywhere, or these restrictions are now applicable? What is it that I'm going to do? It's not allowing you to really have love for your work. It's hard to find that love for your work again. um, I don't believe that you are then stuck, or you don't have um, the inspiration to do what it is that you do, or that you have this creative, that's the thing that I want to say, creative block, that you have this creative block, which causes you not to have that love, or that intensity of interest for your work. I think it's just the lack of inspiration, and the lack of openness that you allow the work to have for you, because you cannot be the same person each and every year. I'm not the same person that I was 2 years ago. So I cannot expect for myself to have the same vision about what it is that I do in relation to what it was 2 years ago. You have to be open to any change that comes to your path, and be willing also to say, well, what does it look like? Why do I feel that this is changing? That might be interesting for me to look at. That might be interesting for me to delve into. And having that particular perspective will allow you to see that the commitment, and actually the relationship that you have with your art, is a breathing entity. It's a being. It changes. It doesn't stay the same. It's not going to stay the same. You don't even stay the same. You're not one person that you were last year, 2 years, 5 years ago. And you will not even be the same person 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You will change. You will meet people, you will get into situations, you will have new network, you will have, maybe great projects. You might be getting disappointed, things will not be going your way. These things all have effect on us. So you cannot say that you forever and ever will have the same type of love, and the same type of energy, and the same type of commitment. What will help in it is to establish the mission, the purpose, your intention that you had at first. And if you have to tweak that intention, if you have to tweak that motivation, that mission, by all means do that. I think that is even more interesting to see that in an artist. Who's a good example of that? I think Pablo Picasso. If you look at his range of work when he was younger till, the last days of his work, you definitely see a change in the way that he was working and the way that he was looking at life and how he would portray that on canvas. It didn't stay the same. So, what makes you think that when you are committed to your work, you will always have that drive? Which will bring me to the last point, because I'm now talking for 20 minutes, which is long enough. And I have to, edit a new video talking about commitment. Yeah. So, so the next thing in it is, now I lost my point, is discipline. Yeah, I got it again. It's discipline. When it comes to commitment, a lot of it is just discipline. It's discipline, people. You have to be disciplined. So start organizing, start scheduling your time, start sitting behind your agenda and say, from point X to point Y, I am busy. I am creating. I am sketching. I am sculpting. I am brainstorming with other people. I'm going to make an appointment with person B and go to city D and have a conversation and talk and brainstorm and do those things. You have to commit. Commitment is a lot of discipline. Can you do it? That is commitment, because you're not always going to feel up for it. I already said that a couple of times, but I think we have to really stress that, because a lot of occasions when you look at other people, it looks like they're always having fun and the mission and the drive is pulling them forward. Of course, it is also part of it. You definitely have to have that. You have to have the drive. You have to have the oomph. You do have to, excuse me, you do have to have that. But discipline comes a lot into that. A lot, a lot. And that is also something that I will be talking about in my next video. The next video I will be discussing 5 things in which you think you're the only one doing that as an artist, which of course is not true, but it is funny to see that people still think that they're the only one having a certain issue, coming in a certain situation, or dealing with whatever it is that they have on their path. So I decided to make a video about that. We'll be posting tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Okay? Be on the lookout for that. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your friends, tell your cats, and tell your dogs. It's going to be a next video. Going back to the subject, discipline is important. You hear me just bouncing on this tip. Discipline is important. How does discipline really look like? Because we hear everybody talking about it, right? How does it in practice really look like? In theory, we can talk about back and forth, but in practice, it means that you have steady hours that you wake up. You have steady hours that you are sitting behind the canvas. You have steady hours that you are studying. You have steady hours that you are putting time into action. And that's the best way that I can actually describe it. Putting time into action. Will it always be in your benefit? Of course not. We all have our lives. Life happens. But how much do you want to commit to your work, and how much of the commitment will lead to the mission and the vision and the goals that you have for yourself? If you haven't seen any changes happening for now, maybe you're not putting enough effort into it. I'm just going to be straight with you. And I'm talking from experience. Maybe you're not putting yourself out there enough. Maybe you're not putting enough action into the time that you are scheduling. Maybe you are too concerned about what other people might think, right? Maybe you are too concerned about whether it's good enough. You will come to the point to see when it's good enough. But if you haven't even started to put yourself out there or to do the work, how can you possibly think that what it is that you are making is good enough? So there are many ways that you really, really, really have to discipline yourself in a way of thinking. Actually, that is then the beginning of that point. is not just the action. The point that I want to make is not just the action, it's also the mentality. It starts in here, people. It starts in here. And it's really important that you exercise that muscle, because it is a muscle. It's an invisible muscle that you have to exercise. It is a muscle that helps you keep a straight focus, and you know exactly what it is that you want. You can envision it. If I would ask you, do you know how it looks like? You right away can pop that vision up like, yeah, I know exactly how it looks like. My career looks like this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And having that mentality that says nothing can come between it, nothing can waver. Even if somebody would tell me it's ugly, it's not for me, oh, that will never sell. You have the mentality that says, well, that is just your opinion. And I'm going to continue to work on me and my work until the vision manifests itself. Right? So this is also discipline. A lot of discipline. A lot of discipline. So whatever you have that is having a counter effect on your way of thinking, that can be maybe things that you have been through in your past. It can be things that you have that you're dealing with right now in a present moment. Deal with that first. Deal with that first. And if you can, use your art, use your canvas, use the pen, use the, sculpt it away. Do whatever you need in a healthy, responsible way to deal with that. Because a lot of things that we are going through and that are where you think that other people or other things are stopping you, it has nothing to do with them. It has all to do with you. And the reason why it looks like it's coming from outside, externally, is because it is nothing more than the manifestation and or the attraction of the energy that you are sending out. And that's a harsh truth, because not everybody wants to be in that truth. Not everybody wants to be in that pool. Not everybody wants to not everybody wants to be there. Not everybody wants to admit that to themselves, that you are the cause. Yes. You are the cause of it. Let me just give a very practical, real life example for myself. I've been dealing a lot with the question of being good enough. The question of, is my work good enough? Am I good enough? And the way that it can, the way that it can manifest itself is seeking validation, but also avoiding situations in which I have to show whether I'm good enough or not, because I don't want to make that decision for myself. I want somebody else to validate that for me so that I can feel good about myself. Here's the way that I dealt with it. I had to kick myself into the butt, and I had to really get to myself and say, well, the validation comes from within. The validation comes from a place where I can say, yeah, I'm actually kind of scared what people are going to think of me, but their opinion of me does not form the person that I am. I do that. So it's basically me taking responsibility of what it is that I'm thinking about myself, what I'm feeling about myself, what I sense, and also what I attract. So that urge for validation from other people will become a lot less. You'll become well, let me speak for myself. I became a lot less anxious of, will it be good enough? I don't want people to say the wrong thing. No, let people say the wrong thing. Because eventually I have to stand for the art practice that I have. I have to stand for my work. And I stand a full 1,000% for my work. If I don't, I will still produce it. I might show it, but it's still my work. I still will stand for it. So it is really important that when you have that discipline, you don't only have it physically, You don't only sit behind the computer and, have your agenda in front of you and be like, okay, I'm busy, busy, busy. Have it also mentality wise, have it also in your brain. Because when you think in a prolonged way that is negative, obstructive, diminishing, you're undermining yourself, which are all signs of self sabotage. You are creating pathways in your brain. So the moment that you want to switch, it's going to be really hard, but you can do it. It's possible. I've done it. I've done it for myself. Hey, I'm sitting here talking to you in a live. So I've done that for myself. But it takes some time because your body and your mind is already so used to the way that you behave and in your own patterns and in your own way of thinking. So be mindful of that. Work on it. Work on it. Do it on a daily basis. Yes, I said it. Do it on a daily basis. Um, so yeah, I think that these points that I've discussed, hopefully, but I think definitely will help you when it comes to commitment to art. I was like, you know what? Let me pop up here on the YouTube because it takes a lot of time for me right now to make these videos and edit them in between, which is basically the reason why I'm making this particular video and saying, well, if I cannot commit to having them on the scheduled time that I have, let me just pop up on this platform and do it live. Why not? Um, for me, the commitment to show this in a way as a video and having the information coming to you any way possible is still for me important. I want to be committed to that. So that's why I decided to do it live. I might do this more often. I actually like this because I don't have to edit it afterwards. And I'm still in my studio. It's just not the way that I like to do it, really polished and with the effects and things like that. But this is also a good way. So I might do it more often and discuss some things with you all here. Um, yeah, is there any last thought that I have when it comes to commitment? Nah, people. I think I already explained everything that I wanted to explain. If there is something that you want to know, or you want to ask, or you want to share, please feel free to do so. Please feel free to do so. I definitely want to create this platform to be a place where people can safely voice their opinions, in a respectful way, in an open way. You don't have to agree with everyone who's saying something because we all have different visions. We all come differently and stand differently in life. But it should not limit you from having a platform where you can share those thoughts and visions. Also, for the people that are affiliated to art and are art collectors, I think this is great to have this platform and to share with you all and have a better and deeper insight to what artists are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, because we don't share that enough. And it's also not seen enough. So, with that all being said, I'm going to wish you a great day. Like I already said, be on the lookout for the next video that I'm posting tomorrow. 5 things that you might think you are completely solely alone in as an artist, which is not true. But be on the lookout for it. Tomorrow I'll be posting the video 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like I always do, go to the other social media platforms that I'm on. I'm a lot on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Love to see you over there. Go there and follow me. Give me a like. Give me a share. Definitely would like to do that. And if you want to buy my art, you're interested in being a collector, collecting my art, go over to my website. You will find everything here on this platform. Or you can go to www.mcastudio.nl. And there you can see the current work that I have. And you can buy prints if you want a canvas print with a reproduction of the original that I also have in my assortment, in my work. Hey, contact me. Go over to the website. Support your girl over there. That's it. I'll see you soon. And have a great day. Be blessed. Bye-bye.